Welcome back. Now, as you've just seen, possibly with the theoretical explanation of the MPC controller, they are absolutely fantastic devices. With this little video, I'd like to do a practical demonstration, and hopefully you'll be able to see some of the more important aspects that are going to happen. I'm going to stick to the example of the shower that I used earlier. You would have seen that there would have been a hot water tap that you can adjust, and there would have been a cold water tap that you could have adjusted. And each of those are going to have an influence on the process. For example, if you were to have a look at the water that's going to come out of the shower, if you were to adjust the hot water tap, there's going to be an effect on the temperature of the water as well as the flow rate coming out of the shower. If you were to adjust the cold water tap, there's also going to be an effect on the temperature of the water coming out of the shower as well as the flow rate. So this is where you and I could go ahead and put a model of the process together. Hopefully this picture is going to give us a bit of clarity. If I was to increase the flow going through the hot water tap, then my temperature is going to increase and the flow rate is going to increase. So without going into any figures, and which you would have to go and do with your actual model, we can see that as we increase the hot water, there's going to be a positive relationship with the temperature because the temperature is going to increase. And there's also going to be a positive relationship with the flow rate because the flow rate is going to increase. Now let's go to the model on the right-hand side, and you can see that if I was to increase the amount of cold water, then my temperature is going to decrease. So that becomes a negative relationship. And if I was to increase the flow of the cold water, my flow rate is going to increase. And so that becomes a positive relationship. So when you set up your MPC controller, this is the type of thing that you are going to have to focus on when it comes to the actual model itself. As you can see, by just manipulating one value, multiple other process variables can be affected. And that's the very first thing that I want to demonstrate to you with my simulator. So here we have our Model Predictive Controller up in front of us, and just as a matter of interest, I'm measuring a number of process variables. There's red for process variable number 1, purple for 2, it looks like dark blue for 3, and brown for 4. There's going to be multiple outputs as well. My controller is currently sitting in manual, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it, and I'm going to go and change output number 1 and just show you the effect that we are going to have. Now the output is sitting at 35%. I'm going to take it up to 45%, press OK. And what you are going to see is that there are multiple process variables that will be affected. There's the brown pen going up. There's the red pen going up. You can see the purple and that's dark blue or black at the bottom. All of them are getting affected. So multiple effects that we can have with one change. And I'm just going to take that output back down to 35% so that you can see the effects that we are going to encounter. Now, this is the type of scenario that you are going to encounter with an MPC controller. You've got multiple process variables, and all of them could be affected in multiple different ways. Exactly the same with the other example that I would have given you with the mill. If we put more water into our discharge tank, the level's going to rise, but the density in effect is going to go down. And so you can have a look at that. If we were to have multiple variations, all of it's going to have an effect on the process itself. For the sake of this part of the demonstration, I have substantially reduced all of the process variables that we can see. So I've taken a lot of it away, and it's just going to be a single input, single output controller. And I'll change it back to a multivariable controller at a later stage. My controller now is in automatic, and what I want you to have a look at is everything to the left of this very thick line that I'm marking out is the real-time information, and everything to the right of this thick line is going to be predicted information. So if I was to start running the controller, and let's take the set point, which is sitting at 275, and change that up to 375. Look to the left of that thick line, and you can see what the actual process variable is. To the right, you can see how it gets predicted 30, 40, 50 steps into the future. As it changes, we can capture that information on the left-hand side, and to the right, we can see where we predict it's going to go until it gets to the point where the process is at the set point. I'm going to go in the opposite direction. It's going to take that set point down to 275. And once again, I want you to focus on where it actually is to the left of the thick line and the prediction to the right-hand side of the thick line. Here goes. Model predictive control at its very, very best. It is a model-based system, and the better your model, the better the type of control which you and I are going to achieve. Now, this you are not going to do in the real world, but I've broken it down per individual step so that you can actually see what the controller is doing in the background. I've got my set point set to 375, and when I give it its first step, what you're going to see is that we're in the start of the cycle, and as we step through it, so we're going to get the various steps that will come into play. So currently I'm in the control calculation, and we can get to the end of the cycle. And when we step it, it's going to go back to the start of the cycle. We get to the feedback correction, the feed forward correction, control calculation, control move, end cycle, and then we go back to the start cycle, and it keeps doing this all the time. You can actually see how I have gone and jumped through those steps a couple of times. I have now gone and put in a list profile just so that we can see the values that are going to come into play. Now, if you look at process variable number 1, look at how it's gone and predicted it 9 steps into the future. It's currently sitting at 277.559, and the next step around should be a 281.595. And so you'll find that every time we go through a sequence, this whole table is going to move 1 position up. Look at the 281. That's in the second position, and I'm just going to go and step it through the cycle again. And when I get to the same position, now look at how the 281 has gone to the top, and the next time round we should have 286 at the top. Let's go and step it through, and when I get back to the same point, you can see that the 286 is going to be at the top. So I'm going to take away the list profile, and we're going to get back into fully automatic and just let the process go where it needs to go. You can actually see the predictive values that are coming into play, and you can see how they do get predicted into the future. And as part of my final demonstration, I've brought back additional control variables and manipulated variables. We've got 2 control variables and 2 manipulated variables. My process is in automatic, and if we were to go and try to control it, I can go to set point number 1 and change that set point, and as you can see, the process will be taken to a state where that set point is going to be achieved by the process variable. The red pen is making its way to the set point. Yes, there are other process variables that are affected, but they're still going to go back to their own set point. I'm going to take that red pen set point up again, and you can have a look at how others are affected, but at the end of the day, the controller is going to do everything that it needs to go and do. I can even go to the other set point and go and change that. Let's take that purple set point and move it up. See how my red pen is fractionally affected until it gets taken back to where it should be, and the purple pen is going to go to where its set point needs it to be. And so you can have an excellent control system that can get put together by means of your MPC controller. And that wraps up my practical demonstration on the MPC controller. As always, you know where to go and find a breakdown of many of the courses that I can present. Thank you so much.